Hi, Steve.
Hey, Thomas.
Did they do the countdown clock yet? Oh my God, the show's already started. So that door right over there was locked, so we had to walk around. Hello, everybody. This is the Network Marketing Leadership Show, and we are off to a fabulous start. Adrian and I, and he'll be right here. He's locked out too, and it is a great day. Last time we couldn't have the show because Steve Wallach broke. He had so many people trying to get on the show when he was on last time. He actually broke our audience, and we couldn't work.
It's unbelievable.
But we're fixed up today, right?
Knock on wood.
Hello, Steve Wallach. How you doing, buddy?
Good. We're used to breaking the internet.
Amen. That's good to see you, and it's unbelievable to have you on the show. I've been excited about this for a very, very long time. And the reason, there's a lot of parallels between Steve and his dad and Adrian and I. Getting to take your dad to work every day with you, it has got to be a joy for you, just like it's a joy for Adrian. So Adrian, say hi to Steve Wallach, and here we go.
We could trade war stories, I'm sure, Steve. Welcome. Good to have you today.
I completely empathize with you, Adrian.
A visionary father who trailblazed, and you got to come in and figure out how to turn it into something, right?
And you spend your life apologizing for your dad. That's all both of you have to do is every day. So Steve apologizes for his, and Adrian apologizes for his.
It is the greatest.
The show's going to be unbelievable because Steve and his dad have been in the network marketing space since his dad was an Amway distributor many, many years ago as a result of losing a wife to cancer. And inside of that, he had to make a living, and he was working at a truck stop, and also he was working at something or another, and he was also going to a truck stop selling MCI cards, and that's where he found and fell in love with this profession. Is that right, Steve?
Something like that. There was a lot more to it, but yeah, his introduction to network marketing, he had never heard of it before, was with Amway and Bill Britt and all of those guys and that whole system. But yeah, the MCI card was part of it because it was the deregulation of telecommunication. And so the phone cards were brand new. And he figured out that if he hung out at truck stops, truckers used a lot of long distance service, and phone cards were perfect for them. And so he definitely made that work. But he fell in love with the concept of network marketing and leveraging time, and that leading to more time freedom.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. And that's 100% right. And he realized that he could leverage his message like he did the MCI card through network marketing 10 times more effectively than he could any other way, right?
Absolutely. And so it was the nutritional aspect of Amway that he figured out would help him leverage his ability to reach more people and educate more people about health and wellness through better nutrition than his medical clinics, because at that point in time, he had 3 medical clinics and had no more time. He was working 4 jobs, had 4 kids, he was single, and just needed more time. He wasn't looking for more money, he was looking for more time.
So then his Dead Doctors Don't Lie tape exploded, and his little pipsqueak kid and his daughter-in-law, actually fiance Michelle, they were going to go to medical school and have a life of their own. And all of a sudden, the Dead Doctors Don't Lie tape exploded. And the rest is history. He gave you a distributorship that cost $6 as a wedding present, derailed your plans to go to medical school, and you two locked arms, and the rest is history, right?
Wasn't quite that simple or quite that
I love it.
God bless you, Steve. Thank you.
I brought more to my marriage than Michelle brought. It just happened to be a lot of credit card debt. And so I had way more debt, and I don't think she had any, and I had it all. And so when we got married, I wound up 3 years into pre-med, which was medical school, in essence. And we wound up doing network marketing really on the weekends. And that led to really us realizing not only could we help more people for the same reasons that and keep in mind, my father came to this conclusion, so it made sense for us as well. But we got to a point where we were doing very, very well as network marketing distributors after years of trials and tribulations, and ultimately came to the conclusion that was the way forward for our lives.
Yeah. So then you're going on this trajectory and you're making all kinds of money, and you and your wife are having the life of Riley, and your dad's on the road doing lectures all over the place. And corporate is kind of making some mistakes. I mean, they're kind of slipping. They're out of New Zealand, I think, maybe, if I remember right. And they're not really paying on time, and they're really not shipping on time. So you guys literally decided to take that into your own hands at your home in Bonita, California, inside of that company. And then it got worse, and you guys had to make that exodus out of there. They actually facilitated that by being nice enough to terminate you all. And you and your wife said, this is never going to happen to us again. But more importantly, in 1998 or 1997 or 1996 or 1999, one of those, all of a sudden you decided, 7 was a 7. Okay, good. Actually, have you heard about my eyesight? I'm seeing double, so I can't see. I couldn't even, that was 14 fingers to me. But at the end of the day, that even ended up a train wreck, and you guys ended up forced to start your own company with a vow that what happened to you with that company was never going to happen again. And you're one of the few surviving 25-year-old network marketing companies on the planet right now, and happy as a couple of clams because it's been so easy, right?
I am
very not exactly, Tom.
It's not quite that smooth, but it is very well documented. So you can double check me. But it is very well documented that I have told absolutely everybody along the way the very best place to be in network marketing is as a successful distributor. I think Michelle, my father, and I have lived every aspect, knock on wood, because there's always more I'm learning, we've lived every aspect of this whole profession, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so yeah, it's we thought for sure we thought for sure that being successful distributors, we had found what we were going to do for the rest of our lives. We were building a new house. Michelle and I got diverted to help with infrastructure into Southern California back in 1996 as distributors, and we wound up hiring more employees to do customer service and shipping. We bought and paid for ourselves more printed material for our distributors, our downline. And this is a famous story in the early days of Amway. And so my father had been taught that story, had heard that story, had learned that story of Amway's history, and realized that as successful distributors, the company that we were distributors for was failing in certain aspects, many aspects. And so my father's solution was, well, not to quit, to simply overcome the problems by doing it ourselves. And so we supported our distributors, our downline, in shipping, in product availability, in marketing materials, and support in the field, and customer service, all of those things, because the company was failing at doing those things.
They weren't even paying on time, and you guys literally wrote.
They weren't paying at all, Tom. They were.
I was trying to give them the benefit.
They weren't paying at all. We wound up. We took product as commission, and we would stack up commission credits, and so we could get product when they had it, and so we then would make that product available not only to retail customers but to our downline, and that's how that all worked. It was a crazy set of circumstances that in today's world could never work. Could absolutely never work. And the only reason it worked then was because of one person alone, and that was my father, because he made that work for everybody.
Wow. So look at Richard Brooks on here.
We
woke him up. And he is lucky he's alive. He was on one of those little things like I was at Ariel's house, and he's peeling down a driveway and slipped off that thing and landed right on his back.
Oh,
he totally jacked his leg up, but he didn't have a helmet on, of course. He was like me, and he's lucky he's alive. So shout out to him. Shout out to what's Armand's last name?
Puyo.
I can never say it right. Puyo. His wife was like she was sick, And she, for the last 2 months, she has been flat on her back. They posted a picture last night of her finally getting close to being off the oxygen. So Richard Brooke, happy you're alive. Armand, happy you and your beautiful wife are alive. And Steve Wallach, by all accounts, you guys should be dead for what you've been through with COVID, from what you've been through with the betrayal, from what you've been through with the normal everyday things that go wrong, including facilities burning up and earthquakes and all kinds of stuff. You just have to fight through it, don't you?
You do. And with COVID, we've been very fortunate, knock on wood. We have escaped so far and avoided that, issue. But certainly it has affected a lot of people, and it has affected all of us in terms of just, dealing with the issues surrounding it. It's a train wreck in every aspect, for sure. And, the most most concern is for people's health. Absolutely.
Why didn't you quit? Lots of companies have gone out of business. Lots of people have just blamed everything else and turned their back. Why didn't you quit? You could have quit. Could have. Maybe it would have been smarter at times. But look, people have asked me, and, I've been interviewed thousands of times, articles all over the place. And people have asked me similar questions about, well, what about critics? What about critics of network marketing? You and I and Richard Brooke have had some amazing philosophical conversations, by the way. And so, one of the things about me is I grew up in this world, in this business, in this profession, and I've seen the other sides of other businesses. I've grown up around business. I've had other businesses, all of that good stuff. And you've heard about my business mentors outside of network marketing. And when critics, criticize network marketing, the reality is I've seen the greatness that network marketing can provide and does provide people from all walks of life. And so, when you say, well, why didn't you just quit? Why don't those people detract you, deter you? It's the same with obstacles. Why don't you just quit? Why? You and I have heard Mary Lou Henner say to us in the audience and to us personally, everything's hard. So just pick your heart. And that is so true, because no matter what you choose to do, you're going to run into obstacles. So whether you're overcoming obstacles here, there, or elsewhere, you will encounter obstacles. Let's take a break, because otherwise I'll get fired. So we are on the Genesis Communication Network. Thank you, Ted Anderson. We're coming back right after this with the Network Marketing Leadership Show.
Way to go, Mr. Radio host.
How'd I do, man?
To fight another day.
I know it. Our radio guy. Well, yeah, I know.
We had sound problems last week, and our sound engineer was ready to kill us.
I know, and he's listening right now, so make sure you don't say anything bad about his terrible temper. All right, so let's go to work, man. What's up?
Let's talk about this morning and that networking group, and just, I think that there is a comeback of epic proportions in the realm of real human connection after we've all been locked in our houses for 2 years.
It is so obvious. I mean, face to face. And Steve, you talk about it all the time. Here's what I know about Steve. If you're having Zoom meetings, he calls you on the phone and says, why aren't you having home meetings? And then if you're having home meetings, he calls you on the phone and says, why aren't you having Zoom meetings? So he likes them both, just because that's kind of the way the guy's wired. But I am telling you, I'm having all the Suggs boys over tonight for dinner.
I know.
10 guys coming to the house. And it is so beautiful to be able to just sit out there and talk it over instead of Zoom, wondering what they're really doing behind the camera. And we went to a group called Tabletop Networking this morning, and it was just magic, wasn't it?
It was. It's so, and you can do these same things in person, or you can do them online. You get to pick how you want to do this. But, we sat at this group this morning, and, this is all the people that I met, and I just got picture after picture of all these different people, and you're not going to be able to really see that, but I'm taking selfies with these people. I'm putting my arms around somebody. You're making a connection that's real, that's authentic. You're texting them the picture. And then we now have this new digital business card deal where you can actually create a card that allows you to insert yourself into somebody's phone. And so as far as I'm concerned, I've won the Nobel Prize in economics and all kinds of stuff. I just put that in my description about myself. I put it in their phone, and now it's true.
Yeah.
And so it is so awesome. And it's giving us this chance to be able to create real connection, to be able to have it last and to turn into something real. And I just think there's nothing more important than that.
And somebody that I love, I just got off the phone. In fact, you booted me out because I was talking to that person because they were so low. And they were talking about how isolated and how alone and how they slipped into this depression and didn't even know it, and realized that they were getting sucked into the negativity on social media, and it was costing them their vitality, their money, and their life. And that's all of us. And we've got to get out of the house. And if you can't get out of the house, you got to get plugged into a community that gives you the BLTs, which is you have to belong. You have to feel like you are loved and can love. You have to feel like you can trust and are trusted, and you have to feel safe and make other people feel safe. And if you've got those 4 components in place, which Steve and Michelle Wallach have created at a major league level inside of their company, then people stay no matter what. If one of those are not present, they're recruitable and they got one foot out the door and you don't even know it. Make those BLTs count. And what you've invented with your crew of merry people with this contact mapping concept and app has done just that.
It's literally life and death. And you get to be the person that is that has that kind of impact on people, because there's a lot of people out there that are suffering, whether you know it or not. And so plug into what we're doing, go to that contactmapping.com/bizcard and create that. And we are going to come back to the main show in just a sec.
And we're back. It's the Network Marketing Leadership Show. We got the one and only Steve Wallach. And I've said this before. Nobody believes me, but it's true. Number one, I'm going to be cremated. So I'm only going to need one pallbearer. And Steve, if I have a choice in that whole matter, it'll be Steve. At this stage of the game in my life, and I've said this for 10 years, it would be Steve. Because this guy has been in deeper water for me than anybody that ever has been in my entire life. I've told you that 1,000 times, and it's shocking. But I'm telling you what, you want to be in the foxhole, even if they're not talking to you, even if they're not around you. You know you have the BLTs with these people, and you know what, have it go in both directions. And I got in some trouble here a couple of months ago with that person that blackmailed me. And the first person I called for advice and consolation wasn't him, wasn't the priest, wasn't anybody. It was Steve Wallach. Yep, true story. Fact.
So Steve, you and I have known this about, like you said, I've known this about you secondhand for a long time, but this last 18 months has been a whole nother series of trials and tribulations. And I'm just curious, what have you learned leading through such a challenging time on so many different dimensions? I would imagine running a company, keeping people going, keeping, your corporate people plugged in, keeping your field moving. What have you learned through that process?
A lot. Like I was saying earlier on this broadcast, I think every time I think I've lived through it all. David Stewart, who helped set up the original infrastructure of our company, I remember him saying in front of a group of our distributors, every time you think you have it figured out, life has a way of dotting your I. And that caught my attention when he said it. And life has reminded me of that statement many times. And this is another one of those set of circumstances. When this all first happened, California, which is where our company is and where Michelle and I live, it was the first to fully lock down. And, we didn't know if we were going to be able to be open in the morning as a business or not. And so we stayed up that night figuring out legally where we stood. And our attorneys worked through it with us hand in hand that evening. And we came to the conclusion that we not only could, but would stay open. We didn't know if our employees would show up because the news, that's all that was on the news, was everybody stay home. And when that happened, our kids had already been sent home from school, and we were told, well, just 2 weeks to solve this, 2 weeks. Now, my background is pre-med, and my higher level education, professional education, or whatever you want to say, is pre-med, and an area of extreme interest to me back then was microbiology. And what they were saying made no sense to me. And so, we began to see the signs early on that they were sending home a year of curriculum with our kids to stay home for 2 weeks, supposedly. And so, it just wasn't going to be that way. But we weren't sure who would show up to work. And fortunately for us, the right people did. And we had already begun sending people home with laptops and things, even in advance of that, kind of seeing the writing on the wall. And so fortunately, leading up to that, we were, as Tom was already talking about, we as a channel of trade, a profession, we were leading the video teleconferencing, meaning network marketing, and having video meetings and things like that already anyway. And so we were just at that precipice, at that point where it wasn't that big of a leap to get people set up at home. But, learning through this process, as Tom was also talking about a minute ago, people have quickly slipped into depression. If you're susceptible to depression, this is a big one. This whole process, this whole set of circumstances, and you're exactly right. People have to stay plugged in. And my challenges with things like Zoom is they aren't a replacement for those personal interactions, those personal meetings, those personal just time and attention with real humans. It's a good alternative as opposed to nothing, but it doesn't take the place of human interaction. And so it helps. But like I said, here we are 18, 20 months later, and I believe we're on the other side of this now. I believe that not only are people ready to get out there, they're braving being out with other people. They're not living in fear like they were a year ago, 18 months ago. And so that's a big positive. People are willing to travel. Everything's busy right now. I can tell you the airports are busy. Cruise ships are cruising again. Venues, hotels, concerts, restaurants. The biggest challenge now is getting people motivated to get back to work. Somebody described it to me, and it fits perfectly, is like getting back to school after a summer vacation. That first week back to school, you're like, I don't really want to be here. And getting people back in the swing of things after 2 years of being out of it is definitely challenging, but I think it's a huge opportunity for our profession.
All right, let's go back to the show.
Take a break on the Genesis Communication Network. We'll be right back.
All right. So we're going to take a little break right now, and you're beautiful. Take it away. Commercial time.
All right, we're good.
I went backwards.
I know. Wait a second. All right, that was great. And sorry, that's such a short segment. It's just impossible to ask a question that's short enough for that little segment.
That was a cool answer.
It was a great answer, and it's
cruise ships back to work, cruising.
Yeah, it's the real thing, and I think inside of this, maybe this kind of dovetails into what we talk about in the commercial, which is, as a leader, they said 2 weeks. They knew it wasn't 2 weeks. They said a year. I think who knows what anybody knew when. But the reality is that we are just in a life where there's a new thing out there that we're going to live with for who knows how long.
Well, look at your small kids, though. I mean, depressed. I mean, the kids in the school are going through it too. They're wearing masks. They've never seen anything like this. There was somebody in the class gets COVID. Everybody scares the crud out of them. Their brain won't process it. The parents are in the jackpot because they don't know what to do. And then here comes somebody that does get exposed to COVID, and the whole plan goes to heck in a handbasket. Home-based business is literally the only alternative for people to be able to take control of their own destiny and actually not be a hostage to a job, not because they don't like the job, not because jobs are great, but because you can do a home-based business from the luxury of the home, which is so important, right, Steve?
One thing that there's always a silver lining, right? And so one thing that is coming out of this, and it's loud and clear, is the freedom to be able to work remotely. whether it's in a JOB or people have gotten a taste of that freedom. They've gotten a good taste of that freedom. And this is part of the challenge of getting people back to work, back to a job. Not that I'm advocating for that, but this is what you're going to continue to see in supply chain challenges for probably the next year and a half at least, is getting people back to work and productivity back up. But for our profession, this is what we've experienced all along. We had this secret 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago that people didn't want to listen to necessarily. They couldn't believe it to be true, but now they've experienced it. Sort of like sampling. One of the biggest tools of network marketing is sampling your product. And I would say this last 18 months has been a huge sampling of working remotely and time freedom.
That's very, very well said. And, there's a ton of companies out there. Somebody said that it's like double the number of resignations this year of any other year in history. People have have completely recast their life into this new mold that I don't have to go to an office. I can still work a normal JOB or I can do whatever. But these companies are saying, no, you have to come back here and you got to go punch a clock again. And people are saying, take a hike. And so there's a huge amount of demand. There's a huge new set of needs for people to be able to find a way to earn the living that they want to in a life that has a better balance and that doesn't have them putting all these miles on their car all the time. And that's a huge deal.
Absolutely. So what's the other side of it?
I don't know. What is the
I don't know. That's what I want to know. All right. Now what?
Yeah. I think that in order to do that, in order to be able to cross that or to, when you're talking to people and they're trying to figure out what they're going to do next or plot their next move, anytime that you're going through a transition, Google is not going to be your answer in those key moments in life. There isn't a roadmap for those things. And the way that you do it is through the frame of who do you know and who can you trust and who is going to be in your corner to help you through those big life transitions, and learning to be a professional and learning to be intentional about treating your connections like the most important thing, because that's what they are. That is, I think, what will separate the people who are the most successful in this sort of new world that we live in that is never going to go back, in my opinion. And so contact mapping is created for just such a moment. And so if you go check out contactmapping.com/app, it would be very well worth your time. And it allows you to live your life in that way and to set yourself up for success in anything that you do because you have all those connections. So contactmapping.com/app.
And we're back. This is the Network Marketing Leadership Show with Tom Chenault, Adrian Chenault, and Steve Wallach, who I think for a young guy is like one of the grandfathers of network marketing because he started so doggone young. I mean, he started as literally a little boy in this business. And it is a rare day that you meet a distributor or a distributor couple that can step out of the distributor shoes and into the owner shoes and pull it off. And the opposite of that is all these hedge funds and all these supposedly brilliant business people with no hearts that think this is such an easy business. Steve has been a student of business and the stock market even more than he was a student of microbiology. And as a result, he measures 12 times and cuts once. I cut 12 times and measure once. I would be the worst company owner on the planet. And would you agree with that?
No comment.
So as a result of that, the cool thing about that is Steve did not let that stop him. And so all of a sudden, he's got this startup called his company with stability called his Business Acumen. And that's what's let him stay in business for over 25 years. And he's had to pivot many, many times to be able to live through that. And you're still doing it. And what do you see for the future, Steve? What do you see for the future of your company? And what do you see for the future of the network marketing profession?
Old people like you and me, Tom, we have lived through some pretty crazy things. I can barely remember, you probably lived it, the Cold War, drills in grade school, right? And so then we've lived through the stock market crashes. We've lived through the 80s economies. We've lived through real estate crashes, even more recently now the pandemic. But anytime there are major shifts in economies, in trends of any type, baby boomers coming into the workforce, coming out of the workforce, retiring, and all of those sorts of things, the technology boom. You probably remember the Industrial Revolution, but anytime there are these types of major shifts, there's huge opportunity as well. And so I think this is one of those times. I really think it's perfectly tailor-made for network marketing. Like I said a minute ago, there's no better sampling program of time freedom than what we've all just experienced. And people don't want to give it up. This is why they don't want it. What Adrian was just talking about, I don't remember the name of the index, but it's affectionately known, which I can easily remember, which is Take This Job and Shove It index. And it has never been at a higher point in recorded history. And that is telling us all something. That is telling us that people don't want to go back to their JOBs. They want to find any way out of not doing that and doing what they've been doing for the last 18, 20 months, which is having and experiencing time freedom. There has been no bigger shift in my lifetime towards that than what we've just experienced. And that is tailor-made, like I said, for network marketing.
Steve, there's been a lot of noise out there.
Everybody, sorry, Adrian, I don't mean to jump on you there for a second, but everybody around the world has just experienced the exact same thing. Everybody.
Yeah. And so, Steve, you have this huge shift that you just talked about, which I see, I 100% agree. And then you also have this backdrop of what, at least from my external perspective, it seems like a lot of, pressure and a lot of, shift happening in the network marketing profession, where maybe there's pressure to really rotate towards it's only about customers and it's not really about the network marketing model per se anymore. And I know you're very involved at the professional level with other leaders in network marketing. What do you see happening there? And how do you think you lead through that, where you still continue to double down on this network marketing profession that I know you believe so deeply in?
Absolutely. I think you triple down on it right now. And so I don't think it has detoured from the network marketing model. I think there has been a detour away from the network marketing model, or a little side kind of path, which was this kind of belief that customers and distributors are the same. That isn't true. It wasn't true. It's never been true. It's not going to be true. And so I think you should be a product of the product, whether it's network marketing or not. Look, I through college sold Toyotas. My first car was a Toyota. I bought Toyotas. I was a product of the product. I'm still a product of the product. I still think they're great cars and trucks. But I think what shouldn't have changed, hasn't changed, won't change, isn't going to change, is that direct sales network marketing is the perfect channel of delivering quality goods, whatever they may be, and services to the consumer. And distributors get paid to facilitate that, period. It wasn't different. It isn't different. It's not going to be different. I think we kick Amazon's butt if we follow that model. If we become, as Tom always talks about, the tour guide. We're just helping people find what they want. One of my all-time mentors is Zig Ziglar. And he's famous for the quote, "You can get what you want by helping enough people get what they want." Period. It's that simple. Keep it that simple.
Yeah, and Amazon doesn't pick up the phone.
Nope.
So as a network marketer, if you pick up the phone, you just won. And so few people realize the magic in that, and the magic in remembering, and all the stuff that Adrian trains people to do. But it is what sets us apart from everything else. And those of you that are here, that are trying to figure out how to do this business, it is talk to more people. Eric Worre says that. Richard Brooks says that. Ron Henley says that. Doug Stair says that. You want to figure out what's wrong with your business? There's only one thing wrong with it, and that is talk to more people. She or he who talks to the most people is going to win this game. And you start documenting and remembering, I'm telling you, the party is over, and it is duplicatable at the lowest common denominator. That's all you got to do. And that's what Steve's been saying since day one. And they haven't changed that tune. And that is how we win this game called trying to beat all these social media whiz bang big boys. Because I'll tell you what, human connection is the opposite of addiction. People are craving it. And when they don't have it, they start doing stupid stuff. When they do have it, they embrace the BLTs and it changes everything, right?
Yeah, totally true. And to that point about Amazon, right? Think about if you want to go and buy something like generic on Amazon that you don't know, I don't know exactly what I need. So let's say like organic lotion, whatever. You go and you type in organic lotion on Amazon, and you're going to do one of two things. You're either just going to pick Amazon's choice, or you're going to spend like 500 hours wading through 300 pages of choices that you're going to make because there's nobody there that you trust to tell you what you're supposed to do. And so you're completely overwhelmed. And on the other side of that is the network marketing model, where somebody who you already trust, who you already like, who's in your community, who you know how to find, who has a phone number that you can call, says, hey, I feel great when I take this product. This thing really helped me. I've seen it help a lot of other people, and you really ought to try it. That's a tremendous service, and it cuts through all of this noise and all of this overwhelm and all this stuff that we face on a daily basis, because there's just 1,000,001 varieties of everything in the world. Oh my God. My wife took me to Ulta. Is that the makeup? She took me to some makeup store the other day, and we walked in there, and I'm like, it's like 50,000 square feet of makeup and lipstick. And I'm like, how did we get as a society to the place where you can fill a superstore with just cosmetics? Like, how does anyone ever make any choice ever? It's insane. And that's why having a human being is so important.
Completely agree. Amazon, I'm going to tell this story during the show, and I shouldn't, but anyway.
Oh, God.
So the other day, my nose, I'm telling you, when you get old, your eyebrows, your ears, and your nose hair grow like wildfire. So I'm wearing out those nose hair clippers like it's going out of style. And my wife just cannot stop coming by with the scissors where you're positive she's going to cut one of those veins. So I go to Amazon and I see it. I saw it for a nose hair clipper, and there's a special for, you save a whole bunch of money on something called the Man Whacker or something. So I order the Man Whacker.
Google that.
No, it's horrible. So I order this dumb thing, and it's $100, and I'm waiting for it because my nose is getting worse and worse and worse. And I finally look on there, and it's accidentally been sent to Steve Wallach. So then I go, holy mackerel, where is this thing? And the first description of the product is groin shaver. So Steve thinks I am buying a groin shaver, which I wasn't buying a groin shaver. That was just in the stupid package. So I hate Amazon even more because I would never buy a groin shaver. I bought the Man Whacker with the nose hair clipper. So everybody needs to know that. So that's, and I know that Steve was running around the whole place going, look what Tom Chenault's buying. So I had to get that officially out there that it was true. Am I lying, Steve?
The funny thing is, Adrian's birthday was just the other day. Mine wasn't that long ago. And, I get this stuff from Amazon, including that. And so it is true. And, it shows up with my name on it. And the label says B-Day. It doesn't say who it's from. There's talk about a total lack of personal touch. There's nothing. And so another check mark of why I don't like Amazon. It is the most impersonal thing there is. And anytime you listen to Jeff Bezos speak, you go, if he can do that, anybody can.
Amen. Unbelievable. Yep. And I
we all have a huge advantage, many huge advantages over Amazon. We just need to embrace them.
I also bought a big book of Alcoholics Anonymous for another friend. And Steve also thought I was sending.
I definitely thought somebody was trying to tell me something. I thought it was Michelle.
Unbelievable. And he's sending them all back to me. That's what's so nice about it. But classic. Yeah, we wrecked a whole show talking about Amazon and my
Just
shopping.
Slightly used, Tom. Barely used.
Don't use Amazon. Call a friend. Back to you, Mr. Talk Show host.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny. But this point is really important despite that hilarious diversion, which is that this model really works. And, it comes down to like building that relationship, exposing people to an opportunity to earn some extra money on the side, exposing people to awesome products that really help them, that have helped other people, that have, a great story and a great background and a great pedigree attached to them. All of those things are a service, and they cut through the noise, and they're just, it's more needed than ever. But it has to be done the right way, because if network marketing catches wildfire in a way that's, just this sort of like glitz and glamour, or this sort of like, it's all sort of, trying to pitch people or whatever, then it's going to get knocked back. This is an opportunity for it to be done the right way, and to really create market share in terms of how people earn a living in a way that it never has before. And that's pretty exciting. So we got to go to a break.
We're going to take a break, and we're going to talk on the backside of this thing about network marketing and where it's going, and how these guys weathered a storm. And it's been a big storm about the internet and all this stuff where everybody said it's going away. And now network marketing is more relevant than ever before because of what Steve just said. We'll be back right after this. All right. That's exciting. All right. Good. Pretty awesome story, wasn't it?
That was a funny story.
Yeah. So
I heard you snicker.
I started laughing so hard because I remembered that dumb Amazon thing. But here's the deal. Steve Wallach has been a contact mapper for a long time. So Bob Bodine wrote a book called The Power of Who, which was unbelievable. And Steve actually read it. And his wife was obsessed with Oprah Winfrey. And Steve actually read that book, stood inside of who do I know that knows somebody. And the next thing you know, Oprah Winfrey is on the stage acknowledging in a gigantic arena Michelle Wallach as a result of Steve understanding the power connection. Is that true or not true?
It is mostly true. It is mostly true. But I'll tell you, Michelle embraced that as well, because Michelle had set a goal to meet Oprah. But what is even more impressive is Michelle and myself have gotten to know Oprah and Stedman, and they're great. They're fantastic.
Yeah. And behind the scenes, they're as good behind the scenes as they are. I mean,
they are. They absolutely are.
Good people. But
Yes.
it's all, you guys all know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. And probably, and I'll never forget, you said you need to know this guy named Michael Burnoff, Tom. Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget that. And he was 6'7" and an intimidating guy. And I didn't like him very well because, he was just too smart and too good looking and too tall. And I just thought, I hate the guy. But anyway, I read a book called, what did I read?
You read a lot of books.
No, I want Who Not How, which is like The Power of Who on steroids. And I truly wanted to get to that author to get him on this show, who's going to be on here in 2 weeks. And the reason he's going to be on here in 2 weeks is because of Tucker Max, that guy that wrote I Hope They Sell Beer in Hell. Burnoff, that's who published Burnoff's book. So I grabbed Burnoff and I said, can I talk to Tucker Max? He said, you don't want to talk to Tucker Max. You want to talk to Dr. Ben Hardy, who co-wrote that book. Burnoff hooked me up with him, and the rest is history. You guys have connections to everybody if you'll just take the time to ask somebody if they know somebody who's going to know somebody, right or wrong. And that's contact mapping.
Totally right. And then on top of that, to figure out at every step of the journey what really makes that person tick and what's in it for them.
Oh yeah, you have to go into what's in it for them. If you're just this little taker, it's gonna catch up. It will expose itself.
Or even if you're just a nice person but don't know how to think that way, right? It's not, we know not to be a taker, but you are so good at going, how do I figure out how to add value to that person and speak into their listening?
Yeah, 100% right. And if you can live in a conversation for what's in it for them, even though there's a what's in it for you inside of that, you win. And it's going to turn around. Remember, ask. Because everybody expects an ask.
Yeah.
Especially they think I'm ask, maybe remember. But it's remember, ask. I promise you. So
that says we need to introduce a Tom Chenault truthiness.
That's exactly right. The people should just hold it up. That story's got like a 4. Amen to that.
So, all right. So go and check out contactmapping.com/app. You want to know how Tom does what he does, how Steve does what he does, that allowed he and Michelle to build relationships with the most amazing people in the world, to include Oprah Winfrey and Stedman, then that's how you do it. So go check that out. We're going to come back to the last segment on the show right now.
And we're back. It is the Network Marketing Leadership Show. And I am Tom Chenault. This is my little boy, Adrian Chenault, of whom he turned 37 years old just recently. And in my 37th year of my life, I stopped drinking alcohol. So he is just at ground zero of my bottom, and he is literally at the top and going higher, a little bit like Steve Wallach at that age. And that's pretty much when I met Steve and Michelle. And it's been that kind of meteoric rise. And I'm thrilled to death. Neither one of you took the detour to get to it like I did. But I'll tell you one thing right now, I'm unbelievably proud of both of you guys. I think of both of you almost as a son to me, even more you. But anyway, almost. So tell me, Steve, where do you think we're headed in this great profession?
Well, first and foremost, speaking of Michael Burnoff, it's his birthday today. So happy birthday, Michael Burnoff. So where do I think we're heading? Like I was saying before, I think where we're heading is the fact that there's this renaissance brewing in professional network marketing, much like there is in people wanting to get out and get like two places again, as opposed to not. And so with network marketing, I think people realize what Amazon's up to. I think people are coming to the conclusion that Amazon is what it is. And, you know, there's companies like it, not just Amazon, but they are absolutely impersonal machines. And, you know, they have no human factor to them whatsoever. Talk about artificial intelligence, you know, it's very much that. And so, you know, we like the authentic intelligence of human interaction. And so network marketing, you've asked me before, Tom, maybe even on, you know, this on your show. I don't remember, but I remember you asking me is, you know, where is network marketing going? Will it ever go away? I don't think, as long as humans are human, I don't think network marketing is going away. It will change. It will shift. Trends change, but the basics of network marketing aren't going to change. And that is that it's human interaction at its basic core. So that's where I see network marketing going, is more on the human side, more on the service side, more on helping people find not only the information they want, but the products they want too.
Let me ask you a question. If you have to answer one of the three or all of the above, if you had a chance into going into space, would you go with Elon Musk, Richard Branson, or Jeff Bezos? And why?
Well, it wouldn't be Jeff Bezos. Honestly, it would have to be Elon Musk. I mean, this guy is light years ahead of these other guys. He just is, and he came out of nowhere, right? So it just shows you that, you know, if you're passionate about something and really want to make a difference, you can. And so you cannot discount what this guy has accomplished. And I'm a fan of aviation. I've, a lifelong fan of space and space exploration. I love it. And so, I follow all these guys, and, I am not a fan of Branson, and I think his airplane toy isn't the real thing. I think he needs to stick to cruise ships and trains probably. But Elon Musk, look what he just did with 4 civilians, 3 days in space to the outer limits of true orbit. Crazy what they're accomplishing.
I knew you were going to say that, and that's very cute. And what I wanted, the reason I asked him the question and kind of stumped him a little bit there was because I wanted you to see his heart. You've seen his intellect. You've seen his tenacity. I wanted you to see his heart. I wanted you to see that twinkle in his eye. And I'll tell you what, the sky is the limit for him and this profession and his life and his wife and his kids and his grandkids and the people that are going to be taking it's a legacy company. Richard Brooke talks about all the time how few companies are legacy companies. And that means you've got to be building them to give to your kids, like I'm doing with this crazy contact mapping. Actually, he's building it to give it to his dad. So it's awesome. But anyway, however it goes, it goes. But we've loved having you on here, Steve. And I'm telling you, you're an inspiration to the entire world, much less the network marketing world, and we appreciate you.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. I've enjoyed it for sure.
Have we got
Always
any
look
idea
forward to
who
coming on
next
your
week's
show.
guest will feature? Oh, Fraser Brooks next week. And so that's going to be exciting. He's got to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning from Dubai. I'm going to Dubai on February 22nd to speak at Rob Sperry's deal. So all of you, I mean, the world is at your fingertips if you'll just take the time to realize how great you can be. I am a broken down drunk made good. Very few of you are broken down drunks made good. And I'm just telling you one thing right now. If I can do it, you can do it. And it's all in the people that you remember in your life, how you treat people, how you believe in people, and how you lift them up to lift yourself up higher, right?
That's totally it. And this profession allows you to do, it allows you to create a tribe and a group and a following from the people that you love the most. And it doesn't matter what their background is. It doesn't matter what their education or their gender or where they are in the world. You can do that with the people that you want to go and do life with. And, that doesn't exist anywhere else.
And I'm going to hook you up with Ron Henley. He listens to the show every week. He's building the Network Marketing Museum in Atlanta, Georgia. And it is going to be a very, very big deal. We'll get him back on this show. He's got one of the largest collections on the planet of everything network marketing. And I was around for most of it because, like he said, I was born in the 1800s. So very, very exciting. Shout out to my beautiful wife who is on here. We wouldn't know what to do without you, Denise. We love you. So everybody, we'll see you next week with Fraser Brooks. Steve, you're a doll. Hug the family. Those 3 beautiful boys, all those dogs, and your wife. We'll see you next week.
Thanks again. Bye.